4.
Hi, we're Don and Margaret Robinson. We've been married this coming July the 23rd, 57 years. And I think I would like to tell how we met and some of the progress that we've made over the years and things that's happened to us, the good things and some of the bad things. But tell a little history about myself. I grew up in a home that I had no idea what the inside of a church actually looked like. I'd been a time or two to funerals and this type of thing, but never to a Sunday morning service. And Margaret grew up where her mother took her every Sunday. And I graduated out of a little school of Longdale, Oklahoma. I think there was 8 in our graduating class. And I had enrolled in pharmacy school at Southwestern. It was a big venture for me because I'd never really been hardly out of Fairview and had never ventured out on my own. But I found the school and enrolled and was going there a year. And I'd come home to Fairview on the weekends. And I had 2 really good high school friends, and I use this as an example that I've told a lot of young teenagers over the years what happened to me is what they could do also, like these 2 friends did for me. They kept after me to go to church with them, and of course I was the unknown. I was scared and didn't want to go, but every weekend when I'd come home or in the summer when I was there working, they would hound me about going to church. And so finally I said, okay, yeah, I'll go with you. And I met them there at the church on a Sunday morning, and they took me around to where the high school kids met. It was in a chapel, in a little small chapel. And I went in that chapel, and who was sitting there but Margaret. And they introduced me to her that morning.
They used them.
Yeah, and I met 2 people that morning that changed my whole life. One was her, and the other one was Jesus Christ. The first introduction I ever had to any of that, and of course I didn't really become a follower of his for several years, but that was my first beginning. And I tell people that to me that was a beginning of a whole new life. It was before Margaret and after Margaret, before knowing Christ and after knowing Christ. And we dated then for about 2 years and got married, and I still had 2 more years of pharmacy school left. And those over the years, that probably was the hardest 2 years we had because we were so darn poor. I didn't buy textbooks, and I'd work on weekends, and I had lab jobs at school and all this, but she never complained and never wanted anything. We bought nothing except food and paid for school. And during my senior year, she got pregnant, which was about 2.5 years after we got married. And our oldest daughter, Pam, was born in Fairview in March. And I came to Kingfisher and worked as a pharmacist after I graduated, and we lived here. And our other daughter, Donna, was born here, and we lived here for 5 years. And I got the urging to go for more training and more education. And of course, all these decisions that we made, we did them together. And that's the thing about life, is wherever I turned and whatever I did, it was always because she was right there beside me. And we made the decision, here we'd go in through this possibly 2 years or 4 years of doing without, and we had the 2 kids to go to dental school. I had no financial help of any kind, and I kind of had to lie, not necessarily lie, but kind of stretch the truth a little bit on my application. Is they do not want you to work while you're in school, and they said, would your finances would they be an obligation, would they be something that I couldn't handle? And I put, yes, I can handle it. But that meant that I had to go back and work many, many hours while school was going on, and it'd be a sacrifice to the family. But she never complained. She was ready to go with anything that I wanted to do. And you know, really, those 4 years were not that bad. I worked 15 to 20 hours a week the first 2 years, and nearly 40 hours a week the last 2 years. 16 hours on Saturday and 16 hours on Sunday, and one night during the week till 11. But we made through that, and it was a wonderful, really was a wonderful 4 years. When we did have any time, we spent it with the kids. We'd go to the park, we'd do this or that, and we graduated and come back to Kingfisher and had many, many wonderful years here as dentists, and bought this place out here that we've loved over all the years. And every summer we would make long trips, and we'd think we'd go where the girls want to go this year, because they may not want to go with us next year. They're getting up, they got up to being teenagers, and we'd say, well, we'll go where they want to go another year. And we'd traveled all over the United States, and they got, every year we think they wouldn't the next year, and they went clear into college and everything, they still wanted to go. And we were both relatively healthy and all this, and this rocked on for a lot of years. And one of the big enjoyments we've always had is having all the kids that we had throughout the years out here, and it was hardly a weekend that we didn't have it on Saturdays, and even during the week that we wouldn't have a big group of kids out here when Pam and Donna were home. And then after that it was our grandchildren from over here. So this has rocked on for a lot of years. And then both of us have been relatively healthy. I had some heart problems back there 20 years ago, but that worked out okay. And then up about, well, at least 15 years ago, why we noticed where Margaret was having difficulty understanding. I mean,
oh well.
She would
Leave it go.
not be able to play games and stuff very good because she couldn't follow it, and then everything kind of progressed along, and up about 12 years ago it became evident to other people, and this has been a gradual, slow progressing of loss, and it's one of the hardest things in the world to see someone you love gradually being lost, being not her complete self again. But we've made through it, and we do real well. She's to the point now where she does sleep a lot. She sleeps usually until 12, 1 o'clock, and then she's lost a lot of control over things, her bowels and her kidneys and those things, but we do it. And I was...
Why don't you sit down? Wouldn't you be more comfortable?
See, this is her popping out right now, that her compassion for other people and concern. You've probably seen that, Chris, over the years. That she's more concerned about other people than she always has been about herself. I was asked recently by my doctor, he said, why are you still doing it? Why are you still taking care of her like you are, when 95% of the people that that I've seen over the years would have already had her in a nursing home? And I said to him, for better, for worse, for sickness or in health, that was our pledge. And besides that, if and when it does happen that we lose her, I will be completely lost. I feel like my purpose in life at this moment is to take care of her. And I will. And every once in a while that sweet, concerning self will pop out. She's down in there. When I change her dirty Depends or her wet Depends, and she's on the stool and I'm down on my knees taking them off, very seldom does she ever miss saying, "I love you, Donnie Robinson." Or she'll say, "Thank you for taking such good care of me," or "You're so good to me." And that's all anybody could ever want. I've learned over the period of years that many times God has interceded on our behalf in things that we could have either been killed or hurt real badly, but by His intercedence, we weren't. On a lot of those travel trips that we made, many things
Did you want to sit down?
that could have happened to us didn't happen. But I've also learned that He doesn't intercede in a lot of things like this. But I've learned that even through all of that, He's right here with us. I don't understand how people could get by, how they could possibly make it with this happening to them without knowing that He's there. How they lose a loved one and Him not be there if they don't have Him there. I don't understand it, how they can possibly do it. I think He's taught me through this, to have more patience and conviction or compassion for someone that's not the way they would be. You have to, in other words, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt me at all. I just feel sorry when she has those accidents and I have to clean up and she doesn't understand what I'm saying. And the hardest thing though is not having that loved one there when you come in to share something good or share something bad that really understands what you're saying. And it takes a while to learn that they would if they were them. I don't know. It's hard, but with God's help and with Him being here with us, we're going to make it through all of this. I think and note that letter that I wrote to her on our 50th anniversary. I said that the things we went through, we've done it because He's been there beside us. And we don't know what's going to come in the future. But we know that we can do it because He's there with us. And my advice, we've been married nearly 57 years, and I think our advice to any young couple getting married, making those vows that they really mean them, it's not something that you just say to get by with, to meet the requirements of marriage.
Aren't you getting tired?
See, and I've heard them say it's got to be a 50-50 marriage, 50% giving, 50% taking. No, it's got to be 100% both ways. Throughout our marriage, throughout our time, it's never been, I'll do this if you do this, that type of thing. It's anything that she wanted, I was 100% to do it. Anything I wanted, she was 100% to do it. You may not believe it, but we have never had cross words.